Hello, beautiful ones. I'm Nora Rochelle, part of the Astro Priestesses. Thank you so much for joining us for our summit on 2025 and beyond. I'm here with beautiful Verena Borell, who I've collaborated with, and I love her, and I know you will love her too. So I'll share a bit about Verena, and then we're going to dive into our talk on Goddess Asteroid Diana. So, Verena lives in Austria, and in her work, she combines evolutionary astrology with intuitive guidance. She started her 3-year practitioner training in somatic experiencing international at the beginning of 2024 to connect soul and soma more and more in her offers. For Verena, astrology is a lived, embodied experience. Her calling is to bring light and expand consciousness. Verena supports you in living more consciously, to rewild, and to free yourself from restrictive conditioning. We all need that. You can work one-on-one with Verena or join her workshops, programs, and courses in the area of astrology, spirituality, and personal development. So you really need to check out her work, and I really hope you enjoy the conversation today. Thank you so much for being here with us, Verena.
Noura, it's such an honor and a pleasure to be invited for this beautiful summit and to contribute a little bit of, yeah, maybe Diana wisdom and love to you, to your community, to the world. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. So, how are you feeling in general about 2025? Before we dive into Diana, I would just love to get your pulse because I know you are intuitive and an astrologer, and just how are you feeling?
Oh, wow, yeah, that's a big question. I have recorded a 6 hour long video course in German language just about astrology of 2025. So let's give me a second. I think that, or what I feel is that there is a big potential for expansion, um, for really, I mean, we are on this path since some years, and especially with the North Node in Aries in 2023 and 2024, we are on this path to coming back to our true self and what we are really here for, and to decondition from all of these topics around fulfilling the expectations of others and letting go of societal rules, Pluto and Capricorn. And now we are on the edge and on the threshold to an even deeper or higher level to ourselves. And I think that especially with Saturn, Neptune dipping for the first time into Aries, there's a lot of mastery around how we want to lead our life. So, really mastering our self leadership more and more. And also with the North Node in Pisces, this deep, deep invitation to trust. Because we need to find trust in our own guidance, in our own gifts, and also in our higher guidance or deeper guidance, wherever you feel called to, because when we live more authentically, then that means that we need to get independent from voices outside. And that means that we need to trust more and more ourselves. And with the North Node in Pisces, in combination with these Aries energies in the field, I really feel this calling for deep, deep self-trust and deep, deep trust in your spiritual gifts and your guidance. And um, it's about becoming your authentic self in order to relate on a new equal level. So it's not about toxic individualism. It's actually about um, building relationships on a new level with more honesty, with more love, with true connection. And I think on a personal level, there's a lot of potential for expansion and also for confusion. So it's really important because we have so much fire and water and air energy to ground, to do energy releases, and to really stay aligned and to stay true and grounded. Yeah.
Yes, I love
That's
that.
just
And
the flow.
there's so much because so much is happening, and you're so right. As individuals, we're kind of caught in this nexus point between, okay, who are we in this time of awakening and how do we contribute to the collective? And those sometimes it's kind of like it can look like two different paths in our mind if we are not clear on who we are. And then we're confused a little
Yeah.
bit about action, right action. And I do think it's really interesting that we start the year with the Mars retrograde energy. It's like, what is right action? How do I know? How do I source myself? So I feel like you speak to that so much in your work. And I love that you pull in the wisdom of the body because how will you know? And I think
Yeah.
that leads so beautifully into Diana as the huntress, as this soul guide around, well, maybe she might have some clues for you to give you some
Yeah.
information. So could you tell us a little bit more about the essence of Diana's energy and her archetype? Like, what does she stand for?
Yes, of course. And just to say that, I think you said something really profound to the energy of 2025, because I think that with Pluto in Aquarius, we really learn that our individual self, when we live in an authentic way, then we contribute exactly what we are here for the collective. And also, and this is something I learn through my somatic experiencing trainings, which is also so relevant for Diana, is the topic around co-dysregulation. So when you immerse yourself in the field of fear-based news and the energies of everyone, and then you co-dysregulate. And then from a state of dysregulation, your prefrontal cortex cannot work. So you cannot think clearly. That means when you really want to be in service for the world, it's not so helpful if you are completely freaking out with everyone. It's really helpful to withdraw, to be very, very discerning which energies, which news, which media you really want to consume so that you can stay regulated. Because just when you stay regulated, you can think clearly and then you can really serve the world and help other people. So, just as a little thought about that, and I think that Diana, as an archetype, and now I'm coming to her, is really so much about, I mean, she's not only about that, but Goddess Diana lived in the wild forests, far away from the society of gods, so Mount Olympus. So she really withdrew and lived there um, in harmony with nature, together with animals, together with the trees, together with the woods. And she did not care about the rules of the gods society. She did not care about the rules of the Godfather. She really lived according to her own rules and her own nature, and she was in harmony with nature. So I think this is such an important point. And she is, so there is, and when you get my free gift, which is an introductory workshop, I go deeper into that. But there are actually two versions of Diana. So the pre-Hellenic myth and the classical Hellenic myth. And in the pre-Hellenic myth, she is really this goddess of fertility. She's a moon goddess. She's in dance with the animals, in harmony with nature. And in the classical myth, you know Diana as goddess of the hunt. And for me personally, I combine both myths. And for me, she's really this goddess. She is on the one side, is she the goddess of the young waxing moon, and very intuitive and very yeah, connected with the nighttime consciousness. And on the other hand, she is the goddess of our wild, untamed nature. She has her goals. She has an extrovert yang energy side. She has daytime consciousness. She supports and protects animals. She protects women who are in danger. So she's really this goddess who is very, very unconventional. She's really, really attuned with her own intuition. Um, she's friend with every being she loves, no matter where they're coming from or if they are God or human or animal. So she's really this free spirit, but very grounded and very close to nature and very close to her truth. And she is a virgin goddess. That means she is whole unto herself. She's not bound through a marriage. And she is also, and I think this is also important, she's the goddess of childbirth. So this new moon, new life energy. Um, yeah.
It was really interesting in your book, which I had the pleasure of reading, so I definitely recommend to everybody to read it. But you go over the relationships between Diana and some of the other virgin goddesses, which I found so helpful, particularly between Vesta and Pallas Athena, and how they can kind of be these different representations of the triple goddess, or, one eye open versus two eyes open versus two eyes closed. And I was like, oh, I had not thought about specifically Vesta actually was the most surprising. I was like, oh gosh, I feel called out with all my watery Vesta, wanting to just like stay in my emotional space and kind of be in that like it's very easy for me. I think I have the archetype of the hermit very strongly in my chart. But yet I also do feel that calling to be out and do public service. But when I saw what you said around Vesta, where she's going to call us in to a spirit, and then Diana to kind of remind us like to do that on earth, to do it in a real way. So that I really view this link to be something that could help a lot of people while they're trying to understand what is their work in the world and how do you balance that with your need for self-healing, your need for protecting your own peace, because there's always such a fine line. And I think especially as women, we're very cyclical. So like I might be maybe a little bit more in my Vesta archetype around my inner winter, and maybe a little bit more in my Pallas Athene when I'm at my inner summer. And then Diana's maybe helping me to ferry between, the inner spring and the inner autumn, or the transitions. Like it feels almost like she can, exactly like what you said, she'll meet you where you are with this non-judgment and kind of help you in whatever phase you are, be able to do what you need to do, but still honor the both the yin and the yang. So I just thought that was so beautiful. That I think was the most impactful part of your book for me.
Thank you so much, Nora. And yeah, it's maybe good to mention that I have written the first book about asteroid goddess Diana, or yeah, the first book that is particular about the astrological Diana. And I really love what you say because yeah, when you asked me about her archetypes, the first question, it was a little bit messy and wild, but there is definitely this this yin and yang balance, which I love so much about Diana. This nighttime consciousness as a moon goddess and the goddess of childbirth, and the daytime consciousness, the day consciousness as the huntress. And as you say, with the other asteroid goddesses, I think for me, I made this, made this image of Vesta has both of her eyes closed, and she's very about this being in service and very attuned to your inner flame. And then Pallas Athena, who has both eyes open, she's really out in the world and she's this visionary. And Diana has one eye closed and one eye open because she is, on the one hand, very attuned to her intuition, and on the other hand, she's acting. So she is seeing her goal and she's following her goal, but from guided by her intuition. And I think this is something that we really need because even though I'm often in my priestess energy too, however, um, I think many of us feel called to contribute to the world and to act in the world. And Diana can be such a beautiful guide. And also, I want to say that there is something about Diana as a guide for us in times, in future times too, with Pluto in Aquarius and all this Aquarius energy, because I think that it's not about patriarchy and it's not about matriarchy. It's really about a new balance where the yin and the yang, the feminine and the masculine principle are balanced. And Diana is such an androgynous goddess archetype. So even in the classical myth, she is depicted as this goddess, but with very classically said masculine attributes, like she's tall and she's musculous and she's the huntress. So there is something about her archetype that really speaks to a new idea around feminine and masculine energy balance and around releasing all of your ideas and gender rules and gender roles. So I think that there's really something very, and I mean, looking at our world and especially what happens in the United States in regard to gender roles and rules, I think that Diana's archetype is very healing.
Yes, and you are bringing in, I think, why Diana's energy and her archetype is so important and significant in our day and age. Do you want to share any more about why? Why do we need her? Why do we need more of her spirit on a personal and collective level? I feel like you touched on it, but if there's something more to share.
Yeah, there's definitely more to share. And I think, I mean, I think my whole book is just about why we need Diana. Um, on the one hand, to balance feminine and masculine energies, to come back to natural cycles of hunting and resting, to come back to these cyclical living because we are out of balance. We are just hunting, so to say, and we are not resting. And the one other big topic for me is really the return to our nature and to Mother Earth and to the body. So we live in a society where we live in a way where everything that is natural is not normal. So we repress our body, our physical needs, um, our true nature all the time. And equally, we repress Mother Earth. We repress we exploit our body, we exploit the earth, we exploit our resources. And on a personal level, that means that we work so many hours that we burn out because performance culture tells us that we are just worthy if we work especially a too high amount of hours, or because we need to work so hard to survive in a system that is based on unnatural and repressive structures. Um, or that means that we, on a global level, exploit resources and don't protect nature because of often financial goals, power battles, etc. And I think that what connects, I always think like, okay, how I treat my body, how I treat the earth, it's very connected. And I love Diana so much because she brings back this protectress energy. So she is the protectress, especially of um, mother animals. She helps mother animals to give birth so that so that the lineage is kept. In the original myths, She celebrates these moon dances in the nights when the moon is young and waxing, and really is in dance. And through the dance, she fertilizes nature so that blossoms come up and fruits are there. And I think there is so much about this reconnection with what is actually natural. And I mean, this is something that through my somatic experiencing training and through my own personal somatic work, I mean, I had so many light bulb moments where I live against my body, where I live against nature because it is so hard to live in a way that actually respects your natural boundaries and your physical capacity. In our world, it's not it's possible, but it's hard. So it's more easy to dissociate from the body when we live here. Because if you dissociate from the body and if you disconnect from the earth, then you can actually follow the rules and work, and do. But then you get sick, or you leave your vitality, or you burn the earth down. And I think that's not what we want.
Absolutely. And I feel like in all of that, you're speaking to some of the shadow of Pluto and Aquarius, the tendency, because we're in this age of more information and more power based on the information that we have. And I feel like that capacity of information in a natural sense is only so big. So it's
Right.
almost like we're getting this lots of information in our process of collective rebirthing. And then we're going to be able to kind of come home and protect ourselves, nourish the seeds that are most important. It's like we've gone really wide. We've taken in a lot of options. And now we might get to just come in and say, okay, well, which are the seeds that are meant to take root and flourish in our lives? And so I'm really curious on how you see Diana's role in 2025 and beyond, and how can we really work with her and unlock her potential? And you
Yeah, thank you so much, Nora, and what you said about the dissociation and the disembodiment as a huge shadow side of Pluto and Aquarius, and also about Uranus and Gemini, moving into Gemini 2025 and then six. Um, I think, yeah, there's something that I want to say about that too, is that I always think that all archetypes and all energies have a super, yeah, it's about seeing their potential and also being aware of the shadows, to live more conscious and to really see, okay, here I'm tapping in the shadow, how can I balance that? And I think that I really want to say some words about the disembodiment and the disconnection more from a somatic perspective. I think it's really important to unshame dissociation and disconnection, because it's just a very smart function of our nervous system to disconnect from the body, go out of the body, to not feel anymore, because, and we actually don't need to experience trauma in regard to do that. We just need to be in this world, because our nervous system cannot cope with the amount of stimuli and impulses that we are in our day and age taking in every day. So it's completely crazy. I think I don't have the numbers, but there was this study that how many information a human takes in, I think, in the 1950s and now. And it's crazy. And I mean, our nervous system is not made for this. So we are overwhelmed all of the time. We cannot cope with all of these impulses. So it's very natural that our system leaves the body. And I think that coming back to Diana as goddess of our untamed nature, she's really about, yeah, withdrawing regularly from society, from too much too fast, and going into your own woods and into your own wilderness and wild inner forest, if that means maybe your forest is really time and nature. And I think that is actually the most healing thing you can do. But maybe your forest, your inner forest, does also mean to, yeah, to do a yoga practice for yourself, or to read a good book, or to listen to music, or whatever it means for you to reconnect, or whatever helps you to reconnect with yourself and with your truth and with your body. I mean, I think somatic work is super important to survive in this world, also. And I think especially with Diana as an asteroid that is squaring the lunar nodes, and maybe for everyone. So my astrological work is based mainly on evolutionary astrology, and evolutionary astrology talks a lot about planets that are squaring the lunar nodes, because planets that are squaring the lunar nodes are really important for our personal and collective evolution. So they are skipped steps. And I think that Diana squaring the lunar nodes, because she's going retrograde in Sagittarius over the summer. So she's stationing retrograde in Capricorn and then goes back into Sagittarius. And she has 3 exact hits, and I looked them up. So she has 3 exact squares to the lunar nodes, and so it's Central European time, so it may differentiate for one day, March 17, June 17, and September 5th. So at these times, she's squaring the lunar nodes, and she's in Sagittarius. And I think there is something about with the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo, there is a lot about really letting go where we are maybe too over controlled, and where we are really freak out about every detail and really try to put it all together all the time, and maybe shame ourselves or blame ourselves that we are not perfect. And we are coming more and more into this trust, this self-trust, an expansion and openness. And I think that the problem, or the challenge with the Pisces North Node, in addition to Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus then going into Gemini, is that there's a lot of confusion. We can get so confused in Pisces. And especially when we combine Pisces North Node and then Gemini and Aquarius energy, media confusion, so fake news, etc. All of these things. And there is Diana stationing retrograde and going retrograde in Sagittarius, which is all about look for the guidance within. Don't look for the answers outside. Go, your life is a journey, but listen to the voice within. And I think Diana and Sagittarius is really like a big sign for go back to your body, retreat, look inside of yourself, connect with your intuition, connect with your instincts. Don't let yourself become the puppet of media manipulation. Really tune in with your true self, and also be brave enough to leave the noun path. Be brave enough to do the things that feel aligned for you, and trust Pisces North Node that you're guided also on a spiritual level when you leave the noun path. and when you do maybe something that other people judge or blame. Um, and with Jupiter and Cancer, I think there is definitely this topic of um, the natural cycles, coming back to more rest, coming back to really more this balance between the feminine and the masculine principle, between the doing and the being. Does that make sense, Nura?
Makes so much sense. And thank you for that transmission. Because when I feel into the mutable cross energy of next year, you're absolutely right. The tendency for potential confusion, and duality more than anything, because all of the mutable signs have that capacity for strong duality. And I like to remind people who have strong mutable energy in their chart, or just in when we're relating with mutable energy, that it's not about one strategy that works forever. It's not going to be the same. It's probably going to change day by day. And the more you try to get attached to finding this like one right answer or this one right strategy, probably that's actually going to create more confusion, because you'll be like, well, wait, it worked yesterday. Now I'm confused. I'm not feeling the same thing. Now I have to try something different. And that's where I think the flow and the flexibility really comes in. And I love what you say about that, Diana, going within and really trusting yourself. And this is kind of sidebar tangent, which I think is also a nature of mutable energy, is the tangent conversations that we have alongside the central one. But I also study human design. And if any of you do as well, you'll know that the head and ajna chakras, centers in the body, that's where the experience of doubt and confusion are held, right? They're up here. And a lot of times with the Virgo energy that we're going to be stepping into, we target that to ourselves. We doubt ourselves rather than doubting what's outside, because that's the function of it. We have that capacity for doubt so that we don't just blindly take in information and just trust what everybody else is saying. We have doubt as the doorway to discernment. So it's not about doubting ourselves. So if you're getting to that point where you're like, I'm doubting myself, like I'm so confused about what's happening that I don't know who I am. Sometimes that's part of the path of mastery, but I really feel like this is a big opportunity to see, okay, I can doubt the information outside of me, but trust what I'm receiving, trust myself as my own guide. And even if my path changes day to day, that doesn't mean I can't trust myself. That means I'm doing it. That means I'm on the path. That means I'm in flow with my intuition. And I think that um, reframing can be so helpful for people if there's any fear around, like, no, I need to like find my one strategy. Because as a mutable person, I'm like, oh gosh, that has been one of the hardest parts of my entire existence. It's feeling like I need to narrow it down to one thing, and you can't, and you're not supposed to.
And I think what you say is so important because when we just look at the Sagittarius archetype, it's really about your life is a journey. With every step you take, you make new experiences, and these new experiences lead to more knowledge, and this knowledge informs what is true for you in this moment. That means what is true for you today is not what is true for you tomorrow. And staying true to yourself means to be attuned to this mutable truth. And I think that with Diana and Sagittarius, it's really, I mean, I always say that, and I go deeper in my book about that where Diana is in the birth chart or by transit, it's really an area where we learn to rewild something. That means to decondition and to reclaim. And I think that with Diana retrograde and Sagittarius, it's so much about to reclaim our intuition, our inner wisdom, and rewild from belief systems that are not natural, that are actually repressing our nature on a literal sense and on a personal sense. So it's
Yes.
really about this. And I think that she's going retrograde in this fire sign. Um, and I mean, I don't have it exactly. I don't have the dates or something like that. I'm just thinking about more archetypally, Saturn is going into Aries and Neptune is dipping into Aries, and we have the Venus cycle in Aries, and then Diana is going retrograde in Sagittarius. So there is this dynamic about, okay, yeah, but what is really your true way? What does feel aligned for you? And where do you maybe need to decondition and to step back from society or your conditioning in order to reclaim what is true for you and your body? And I think that it's this idea of natural law. When you really, and I deeply believe that when you really find back to a connection with your body and with nature, you are actually not harming. You know what I mean? It's kind of when you really listen inside to your intuition, you will never kill anybody.
Yeah.
That just happens when there is when there is trauma that you have not worked on. But if you really listen, um, you will not cause harm. Yeah. And you
Mhm.
would not repress or yeah.
Yeah. That's
That's maybe my Sagittarius moon optimism, but yeah.
I fully agree. And I feel like that's why I've been so drawn to the yogic path because I really believe that when we're in alignment with ourselves, we become just naturally the highest version of ourselves. I'm reluctant to use that term because it kind of creates even like a hierarchy of self.
Mhm.
But I mean it in terms of like, well, what feels the most joyful, truthful, authentic expression? Because it becomes a natural thing, and where that doubt energy that maybe will come in pretty strong, probably with the South Node in Virgo next year. Um, throughout this year is that like we want so much to be good. We want to be good people. And I think what Diana can really show us is when you just follow that authentic path, you will be. That there's not really anything that you can do that's bad or wrong if you are just who you really are, if you're really listening and you're really trusting. So I feel like that it will be really important and helpful for people to explore Diana more. So I'm curious if you could give us a very quick rundown, because we kind of went in true Sagittarian fashion. We went real big first, but like let's close it up with just some details around how people can find Diana in their own chart. What are they looking for? And how can they connect more with her?
Yeah, of course. So if they want to see Diana in their own chart, I mean, not all astrological astro softwares have Diana. So I use, and that's no advert, I use Astrogold. There you find Diana in the asteroid section, but you can go on astro.com. It's free. And if you search for Diana 78, you find her. And her glyph is an arrow or D. So it's really beautiful. Um, and yeah, if you want to dive really deep into the astrology of Diana and you are an astrologer or a goddess lover or you just feel called by Diana, I highly recommend you to read my book because there I really go, there is for each archetype, for each sign house planet, there is a whole chapter on Diana in this specific archetype, for example, Diana in Aries with Mars or the first house and so on. But if you really want to connect with her, look her up in your chart, see in which sign and house she is, look where she has aspects. And if you are a little bit, or if you are already a professional astrologer, just think about the archetypes, the signs, the houses. Think about the principle of rewilding, of deconditioning, of reclaiming something that is true for you. Um, and you can beautiful connect in a very embodied way with Diana when you go out into nature, when you are in connection with animals. So I feel Diana always so strongly when I'm with horses. But Diana in the myth was also very much connected with dogs and with deer, with bears. So when you are with animals, you can do a little Diana ritual, maybe with some objects that you found in nature, and you can maybe do something with mugwort, which is Diana's herb. Maybe burn some incense or do a mugwort tea and do a meditation and just call upon her. Um, she's a very friendly and loving entity. So thank you so much for sharing this. Yes, that's my book. It is an ebook. It contains more than 70 pages, and you can get it via my website as an ebook package, which is accompanied with a Diana meditation, journaling prompts, embodiment tips, mood board, playlist. So many, many resources to really feel into Diana's archetype and astrology and energy, and awaken her in yourself or work with her when you are an astrologer. And my free gift, so this is the book, and my free gift is an introductory workshop on Diana. It was live in December 2024, and you can now get it as a recording in German or in our English language. So if you sign up for the workshop, you are asked if you want to watch it in German or English language. And it's, I think, 1 hour long, where I talk more about Diana's mythology and I dive into Diana's astrology. And I also have a little somatic practice at the end of the workshop. So it's a nice introduction to her. If you want to stay connected with me and receive free information and free inspiration on a weekly basis, I highly recommend you signing up for my newsletter. So this is really my main channel where I share astrological knowledge, and I combine it with somatic practices. So it's really a good resource for embodied astrology and conscious living. And yeah, you find all of my offerings via my website, www.verenaborell.com. And I offer one-on-one sessions where we can, of course, also look at your Diana, which are based on evolutionary astrology, my intuition, and somatic experiencing. So we can drop into the body if that is what we want to do. Um, I also offer one-on-one guidances where I support you over several of months or weeks. And I have many different workshops and courses and programs in German language and in English language. You find all of them via my website or sign up for my newsletter. And I will definitely offer a Venus cycle workshop when Venus starts her new cycle in Aries in March. So sign up for my newsletter list and then you will receive all of the information.
Mm,
Yeah.
thank you for that. That's so helpful. We need all of the guidance and ways to connect, especially with the goddesses that we can find, and just the beautiful rebirthing that's happening this year. So thank you so much for all of your wisdom, for sharing. If there's any final words that you want to leave our listeners with, for inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that no matter what tools you choose, astrology, human design, somatics, it doesn't matter. The main thing or the most important thing is that you really become more and more aware and conscious of your strength and of your fears so that you act more and more from a place of consciousness and light and um, yeah, rewild to the true essence that you are and through the light that you are.
Mm,
I think that's
yes, beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And please feel free to reach out to Verena or any of us if you have any questions or anything you'd love to share. We'd love to hear from you and how this resonated with you and how this landed with you. Thank you so much for your time, all of you, and wishing you just a beautiful 2025 and beyond.
Thanks, everyone.